Hi, folks. Thanks for coming. This is a big group. Everyone's excited about the Canadian Rockies and Glacier National Park. That's great. So thanks for coming. We're very excited about this trip that we're going to do in 2026 to the Canadian Rockies. I'm Kelly Homewood. I'm president of Gazette Communications. The Gazette is really proud to launch Gazette Travel. It's a natural extension to our brand, which is built on trust. And trust is very important to travel, obviously, and especially to group travel. So we did a lot of research when we decided to do this and carefully chose Premier World Travel to be our partner in this mission of Gazette Travel. We think that at the Gazette, this is a great way for us to build a deeper engagement and relationship with our readers and our audience. And what better way to do that than going and visiting other cultures together and seeing new sites together. So we're really excited about it. We'll be sending a Gazette host on each trip. So I want to not talk very long and get into the really good stuff that Keith's going to show you with pictures. But first I want to introduce our host for the Canadian Rockies trip, Zach Kurchowski, who's our executive editor at the Gazette. So this is going to be a great host for you guys. I think he's really excited about it. It was his first choice when we looked at trips. So,
thanks, Kelly, and thanks everybody for being here tonight. As Kelly mentioned, I'm the executive editor at the Gazette. I've been with the organization for 25 years, and so I started as an intern and I've grown up through the organization. I'm a bit of a nerd, and I watch a lot of travel vlogs, and so I was really excited about this. I can't tell you how many hours of different videos and kind of tours that I've watched of the Canadian Rockies, and so I'm really excited to take this trip. And I think that the Ice Roads Parkway and some of the different scenery that we're going to see tonight, I've taken the train through Glacier, and to have the opportunity to do motor coaches and some of the road tours here, I'm truly excited for that. A little bit more about me. I grew up in Chicago, came out to school at the University of Iowa. I have two daughters. One's a sophomore and one's in 7th grade. And so we live on the northeast side of Cedar Rapids, and so love it and love all of the different opportunities that this region of Iowa provides. But I look forward, I'll be here all night, and so if you have questions or just want to talk and get to know each other, happy to do that. And thank you again for being here. And I will turn it over to Keith, who has a really great deck for us to watch.
No, I don't.
No, sure.
How's everybody doing? Good? My name's Keith. I'm with Premier World Discovery. I'm here to tell you everything I know. Not really. I live in the Chicago area, and we've just started working with the newspaper here this year at the Gazette, and I've worked with the Telegraph-Herald in Dubuque. We've worked with them for the last 13 years. Believe it or not, it's the second largest group in the country that travels with us. They have 280 people going out of Dubuque this year on trips all over the world. So we're kind of patterning our success, upcoming success on what they've been doing. And we picked out 4 great trips for next year, and people at the last meeting, the Italy meeting, were already asking us about 2027. Which is a little early, but I've got lots of pictures. I could probably do this slideshow without talking, but I am going to talk a little bit. It's one of my favorite destinations in the world. I know Zach is all pumped up, as you can tell, and he's been studying. He's already been studying the tour and the itinerary, I can tell. I know Kelly told you a little about the Gazette Travel program, and this is going to be an ongoing program that we're going to be offering every year. We've picked 4 trips this year. I think next year we're talking, 27, we're talking about 6 trips possibly. They will take care of all the logistics on this end. Grace, she's going to come up later, she'll be handling all the bookings, and we are taking bookings tonight. I think we have 16 people signed up for this trip already. We can take 44 as a maximum, so I'll talk a little about signups when we wrap the trip preview up. Anyway, a little about our company. Most of you have never heard of us. Anybody heard of us before? Perfect. I can tell you, you've heard of us. Oh, okay, at the last meeting. That doesn't count. Yeah, we had a kickoff meeting in June, so some of you are probably at that meeting. We're a little unknown because we don't market directly to the public. We're a fairly large company. We have 12,000 passengers travel with us this year. We have for about 80 trips. I think we had 500 departures going out this year all over the world. We're based in Redondo Beach, California. We're doing river cruises. We do trips to Australia. We just added a new bullet train and Japan trip. And then we've got this Canadian Rockies trip, which has been one of our best sellers every year. I've been with the company for 25 years. I've been working in the travel industry about 35 years. I've been on, somebody asked me recently, I lost track of how many trips I've been on, but it's about 80 or 90 trips during my career. I just came back from England. I have family over in England. I was in Croatia earlier this year also. USTOA is kind of like FDIC in banking. It's kind of a stamp of approval for us in the travel industry. So I sit down with Kelly and Zach, and they know that we're a financially stable company. We put up $1 million bond to be part of this company. So if you do travel a lot with other companies and do things on your own, companies that are USTOA are bonded and very safe companies to travel with, because travel companies occasionally can go out of business. Travel is a great way to get to know people. Again, there's lots of places in the world to see. This trip is an outdoor wilderness sightseeing tour, opposite of the one I just presented in Italy. This is one where we're going to hopefully see some wildlife and some of the most spectacular mountain scenery you'll see anywhere in the world. On all of our trips, we stay in nice hotels, usually 4-star hotels. I was talking to a lady earlier at the Italy meeting. We're not a budget tour company. We're not a luxury tour company. We're somewhere in the middle. Stay in nice hotels, nice locations, and again, places you can walk around and things in town. This is actually the Hilton Sedona. We include breakfast daily, always a welcome and a farewell dinner. Usually a themed meal is included as part of the trip. And again, we've got lots of tours throughout the world. I know people are already fielding us trip ideas for next year. So if you got ideas, Kelly, Zach, Grace, they're taking ideas that we're going to start planning probably at the end of this year for 2027. You'll have a professional tour director with you. We have about 80 different tour directors stationed throughout the world. A lot of our tour directors in the Canadian Rockies are Canadians. They do speak a form of English, but this is Pam. Sorry for the jokes. This is Pam. She does a lot of our Europe trips. We'll have a modern motor coach for you that's going to meet you in Calgary, and then we'll talk a little about the air. So we are going to fly out of the airport here in Cedar Rapids. When we sat down several months ago, we thought this would be a little bit of a selling point, a little more convenient. Transfers from here to Chicago or Minneapolis are very expensive. It was the same price for us to fly out of Cedar Rapids as it was to take you by bus into one of the bigger airports. Obviously, most of you have flown out of Cedar Rapids before. You're going to connect somewhere. We're not flying from Cedar Rapids to Calgary, all right? In all likelihood, you're going to go through either Chicago or Denver, all right? We use United Airlines quite a bit on this tour. We also use American Airlines, which I think both fly out of Cedar Rapids. If the group gets really large, there is the possibility you're on 2 different planes going from here to O'Hare. And again, we'll wait and see when that comes out. We talked about that before. A lot of the planes here, they'll only give us 25 seats per flight, so it just depends on how many seats we can get. We take really good care of your suitcases throughout the trip. If you've not been on a tour before, you get your suitcases taken care of. This is actually in the Sacramento airport. This is called the Statue of Lost Luggage. So if you ever lost a suitcase somewhere, it's kind of funny too. There's a pole stuck between the middle of these suitcases, and it's glued. The suitcases are glued onto that pole. But it's a reminder that when you go on a tour, your suitcases are taken care of. We take them to the hotel rooms, we pick them up, bring them back out to the bus for you. You are limited to 50 pounds on the suitcase. It better not be this large, all right? You could fit inside the suitcase, but it is a reminder. You get a suitcase, a carry-on, and a personal item on all the trips, but it's 1 suitcase per person, and it won't be that big, but you get 50 pounds, and you got to leave room for souvenirs when you come back home. So what airline we may use? You may fly United from here to Chicago and then jump on an Air Canada. It depends. A lot of the airlines, they do co-op, so United works with Air Canada quite a bit. So once we get people signed up, we'll get a flight schedule to Grace and Kelly. We'll look at that flight schedule. So if you're curious what airline we're on, we'll probably know that probably by October what we're flying on the schedule. So this is one, I've been up here 5 times. It's one of my favorite places anywhere in the world. I'm hoping to go back again in the next year or so. My daughters, I took them when they were younger, and they're in their 30s now. When are we going back to Canada? Again, I just got a new granddaughter. Just visited us, 1-year-old, so it's kind of exciting. So the family is growing. I'm not sure I can pay for everybody to go, but this is a beautiful destination. So we fly into Calgary. Again, you'll meet your tour guide in Calgary. You'll briefly go through customs in Calgary. Again, you do need a passport, a reminder, and I'll go through this at the end to go on this tour. If you're a hockey fan, everybody's a hockey fan, this is called the Saddle Dome for a purpose, right? This is where they play, Calgary Flames play hockey here. This is, if you've not been to Calgary, it's a cowboy town. It's a very much a large, kind of a western cowboy town. So we're just here for the day. It's kind of our jumping off point to go into the Rockies. We stay at a Residence Inn in downtown Calgary. We'll probably get in mid-afternoon and check into the hotel, and then we'll have a welcome dinner that first night. Residence Inns are, nice enough hotels, a good location, and then we'll have a breakfast that next morning before we head out. So we'll be on the motor coach. We're going to be going south from Calgary. We're going back into the United States. And the reason we include Glacier National Park, it's a very remote park in our country. A lot of people, anybody been to Glacier? We got a couple of people. Probably a very beautiful park, right? It's not easy to get to, all right? I took a train from Chicago. I was telling Zach before. It's a 2-day train trip to get from Chicago to Glacier. And it's a long drive. It's over 1,500 miles, I think, from here. So we fly into Calgary, and then we're going to drive down to Glacier Park. So this is a National Historic Site in Canada. You can guess what happened here. It's called Head Smashed in Buffalo Jump, all right? This is where Native Americans, they would herd buffalo, and they did this for over 5,000 years. It's about a 35-foot cliff. They would herd the large herds of buffalo. I know it sounds frightening, but this is how they survived. Horns, bones, they would make tools, all that kind of stuff, obviously the meat. They would herd them off this cliff. They would fall off the cliff, and there would be other people on the bottom with spears and things that would kill the animals after they hit the ground. Gruesome, but there's a visitor center here. It is a culture. It's the Blackfoot Native Americans that live up in this area. This is kind of an interesting stop. So we drive into Waterton Lakes National Park. This is on the Canadian side. They call this the International Peace Park because it's two parks, this park and Glacier Park, butt up against each other. So we'll be on the Canadian side still. We're going to visit Waterton. I'm going to show you a couple pictures. That little building down there is quite spectacular. This is called the Prince of Wales Hotel. This is an actual hotel built by the Canadian Pacific Railroad, and it's in the National Park of Waterton on the Canadian side. So we stop here for a cup of coffee, bathroom break, and you get some unbelievable shots. The Canadian Rockies have it's a beautiful mountain range, carved obviously by glaciers. You can see how sheer the cliff walls are here. A lot of these mountains are rising 8,000 to 10,000 feet above the lake. This was built in 1927. They did this to entice American tourists to come up to Canada. So it's, again, a beautiful hotel, very typical of all the hotels that you'll see up in the Rockies area. So we will cross the border. You're going to have to show your passport again as we cross the border back into the United States, and we now entered into Glacier National Park, which is on the southern end of which we call the Canadian Rockies. We're still in the Rockies. So I think this is a little bit of a highlight. It's not a fancy hotel. This is a national park, historic hotel, Glacier Park Lodge. It's in the heart of the park. We're just staying here for the night. You're going to have a chance to check in. I've got some pictures of the hotel. It's surrounded by mountains, so you're right in the heart of the park. Beautiful. This is the lobby of the hotel. Spectacular, large timbered roof and everything. And again, the rooms are basic. I don't believe, unless they've changed it, when I was there were no TVs in the rooms. You get a phone and a clock. But you're staying, again, a lot of history here. This, again, is the lobby area. This is what your room looks like. It's nice. It's a very nice hotel. People who go on the trip say, I want to stay here. I want to stay at this Glacier Park Lodge. So we are here. We'll have breakfast here in the next morning, and then we're going to head out. I think one of the highlight days of the trip is our day traveling through Glacier National Park. I'm sure Zach is going to be excited. He's going to have taken lots of pictures. I'm sure, Zach, you're smiling because I know you love these trips. So this is Lake McDonald, and I'm going to show you, we're going to get on these, they call them red jammer cars. Anybody done this before? Is up in Glacier Park? No? So these are built back in the 1930s to take people on sightseeing tours through Glacier Park. They call them jammers because they're stick shift and the guys jam the gears in here. We have about 15 people per car, so you'll be divided up in groups. They're going to pick you up at the Lake McDonald Lodge here. And then we're going to go on a ride going to the Sun Highway, it's called. The tops, as you can see, roll off of the tops of the cars. So he'll pull over, the driver will pull over. You can stand up and take beautiful pictures of the mountains around you without even getting out of the car. We do get out in a few places as well. So my next 15 pictures are probably, I think, of this drive. Again, it's a drive, like we were talking about the Amalfi Coast in the last meeting. It's a drive you don't want to be doing yourself if you want to enjoy the scenery. It's a hairpin turns and things like that, and you're going anywhere from 4,000 to 8,000 feet up in elevation. We'll make a number of picture stops. You'll see a lot of waterfalls. Birdwood Falls, we're going to drive along the side of the road here. That's the road that we're going again. It's called the Going to the Sun Highway. I think it's about 60 miles going up through the mountains. I've been on this trip in the spring, and there was a lot of snow on the ground, and I was with coworkers. They were lobbing snowballs into our car that were dropping down into the open hood. So you shouldn't have any snow in July, but it was interesting. About a month ago, they had a big snowfall up at Logan's Pass, and they had to close the road down because of snow in the middle of summer, right? So this road doesn't typically open until the end of June, depending on how much snow they have in the winter. So we're going at the end of July. The road should be fully open where we can go all the way up over Logan's Pass. So we will make picture stops again. There's lots of beautiful stops on this tour. This tour is all about scenic stops, not a lot of walking. You know, we were just in Italy about an hour ago. There's a lot of walking there. This is an easy trip as far as walking. The issue here is elevations, you know, so if you have concerns, let your doctor know. Anywhere from 4,000 to about 6,000 feet through much of the trip will be our elevation. So this is where the Continental Divide is. This is where they get all the snow, and you're about 6,600 feet here. This is the road that typically closes up in about October and reopens in June because of all the heavy snow they get. I got to show you a picture from the winter. We're not there in the winter, obviously. This is one of the waterfalls. The driver drives right along the edge of this, and water sprays into the car usually is what we did. Look at that. I think that one we had the top up. This is what it looks like in the winter. Look at this. Is that unbelievable? They have sometimes 15 feet of snow on the ground over the road. They bring in bulldozers. Snow plows can't even do it. They got to bring in bulldozers. These guys are drying off the road. Look at this. This was in June this year. This was just in June, this picture. I got off the news. I got all these travel newspapers. Is that crazy? So anyway, you should have no trouble in July. Should be good. Here's one of our groups that got off the bus there. And then we'll have time. We come back in around lunchtime out into Lake McDonald Lodge, again, one of the national park hotels. You'll have some time for lunch on your own and kind of wander around this beautiful lodge in the heart of the park. So we'll drive from there. We're going to go into Kalispell, Montana. We're going to overnight here in Montana before we head back into Canada. So it'll just be kind of an overnight. There's no tour of Kalispell for just a one-night stay. And again, these are little cowboy towns, you know, up in Montana. If you watched the TV show Yellowstone with Kevin Costner, this is some of the areas they ran around. Our tours in Montana are booming, right, by the way, from the TV show Yellowstone. Everybody wants to go to Montana now. So we're going to drive across the border again, all right? We're going to go into another Canadian park. I think on this trip we see 6 national parks during the course of this trip. Kootenay National Park has beautiful alpine lakes, and again, these soaring mountains surround the lakes. What's kind of unique, and again, when you go out, especially in the morning, the lake water looks like glass because the wind doesn't hit the lake because of all these mountains around it. And I did a slideshow a couple years ago. I turned the slide upside down. Just to trick people. I said it was upside down. You can't tell sometimes. There's a little bit of ripple there. So these are pictures from Kootenay. Again, we'll stop and make picture stops. This is called Sinclair Canyon that we're going to drive through. And we're heading up into the heart of the Rockies here. If you've not been before, this a tour should be on everybody's bucket list who likes to travel. One of the most beautiful places in the world. Our goal hopefully is to see some wildlife. I've also been to Alaska a couple times. I've seen more animals in the Canadian Rockies than Alaska. It's more concentrated. There's more animals along the roadways and along the rivers and lakes than you'll see because Alaska is, very vast. These are some of your mountain goats. We saw a lot of mountain goats. Sometimes, people, or you see in the news, people get too close to animals sometimes, right? So a lot of the pictures you take off the side out of the bus window. You're not going to get out of the bus here, right? I've seen grizzlies every time I've been there. I saw a video, this was last summer in one of our national parks. A man was carrying a baby in his camera, chasing a bear, running down the street because he saw a bear with a baby under his arm. Crazy. So hopefully we'll see some bears, but you may not get out of the bus, just so you know. So this is the town of Banff. We're going to spend 3 nights here. We're going to get to unpack, and we're going to do our sightseeing, kind of our home base for a few days. It's a little town of about 6,000 people. It's a resort town, very popular ski resort. I've been here during April, May, and June. They still can ski here until early June. This is Main Street Banff, right? It's not a big city. It's a little town. You can walk around town very safe. Again, we'll be using Canadian dollars while you're up in Canada. Shops and restaurants everywhere. It's a fun little town, and our hotel's right in the middle of town. So we have 2 hotels. We use the Caribou Lodge and the Ptarmigan Lodge. They're ski resort type accommodations. They're not high-rise Hiltons or anything like that. All the hotels on Main Street Banff kind of all look alike. They all have this kind of ski resort look to them. There's a fireplace in the lobby. I think the Ptarmigan has a swimming pool as well, but probably not a trip you're looking to go swimming on necessarily. Typical of the rooms, very nice, kind of rooms. The Ptarmigan, it's just down the street. They're kind of sister hotels. I've stayed in both. So Zach mentioned the Icefield Parkway, I think, Zach, right? You've been researching this, right? One of the most beautiful drives in the world. You probably can't read all the map, but I put those 2 arrows on there. If you see the giant arrows, the bottom arrow is where we're starting. That's the town of Banff. And then up at the top there, that's the Columbia Ice Fields. This is one of the largest glacier fields in North America. I think it's the largest below the Arctic Circle. And the highway was built as a scenic tourist highway. There's no other purpose. Just for people to go through the valley, through the mountains between Banff National Park, and then up at the top is Jasper National Park. So you're going to go to 2 different parks. We're going to spend the entire day on the Icefields Parkway. We're going to make lots of picture stops, and my pictures will kind of capture it. It's a beautiful road. It's not the hairpin thing along the mountain. You're down in a valley with all these mountains surrounding you on both sides. We're going to see waterfalls. These pictures are from the summer, so you'll still see snow-capped mountains here. Some of these mountains, average height's probably about 8,000 to 10,000 feet in elevation. We're kind of down in the valley, probably about 3,000 or 4,000. Is that pretty? I've been to Switzerland. I've been a lot of places. The Canadian Rocky Mountain Range is just gorgeous. It rivals anywhere in the world. We had to stop here. You'll see some moose walking along the road, possibly. You'll see some elk everywhere. I told you don't get too close to the animals. I don't know what I was thinking. I was still on the bus for this one. You will see grizzlies. A lot of times you'll see cars pulled over along the Icefield Parkway. It means they spotted an animal. So the drivers kind of know they'll pull over, and then we'll hopefully spot something. People don't scare the animals away. You'll see elk everywhere. We'll see the mountain, the longhorn sheep, caribou or elk. You're going to see those everywhere. They walk into the town of Banff sometimes, walk down the street. You'll see them in people's backyards even. This is on the trip back. No. So we make a number of stops, and there's these beautiful alpine lakes, and they take on this turquoise blue color. The silt runs off. You see how the mountains run right down into the lake, and they're turquoise blue color when you stand up like on this vantage point. We actually can go down. We go down later down to the lake. If you turn your head sideways, you'll see the shape ahead of a fox. Can everybody see that? Yeah, it's a fox. So this is a very popular stop. It's called Peyto Lake. This is Bow Lake. This is another lake. You can see the glacier feeding the lake there. We saw an elk off the side of the road. You'll see the moose typically down by the rivers and the lakes. I saw moose swim across the river. They're really good swimmers. They're very fast. One came in when I was in Alaska, came up to the hotel, and they were running. And people were running to take pictures, and the staff was telling everybody, get away because they're dangerous. Moose are very dangerous. This again is Bow Lake. Look at the glass of the lake, how glassy it is. It's just gorgeous. And again, it's kind of tied into the fact that the mountains surround these lakes. This is the picture. I got Matt's down there at the bottom there, the guy that I work with. We walked down to the shoreline. This was off the side of the bus. Look, I got a reflection of the guy's head in the background. That's from the bus. Some Wampta Falls, this is called. We stop at the waterfalls, take some pictures here. This is Athabasca Falls, Mount Rundle in the background, and then this is going further down the highway. So we come to the Discovery Center at the end of that road. The road goes a little further, but we're going to stop here. We're going to get off our motor coach. You're going to have lunch here, a chance to see there's a little visitor center. and then we're going to get on a different coach. We're going to go on an ice explorer up onto the glacier. The glacier is about 1,000 feet thick. Some of the snow here has been here for 400 years under the bottom of those 1,000 feet. And we're going to get off this motor coach, or like they call it Ice Explorer, and you're going to walk around on a real glacier. So if you do go on this trip, you can see people brought along jackets, all right? So the temperature, I've been here twice, it might be 70 degrees out. You go on ice, it's going to be about 45, 40 degrees standing on ice. So you need some good shoes if you go, and you need a jacket to bring along, even in the middle of summer. And the weather does change, and we'll talk a little about weather in a second, but it can change on a trip like this. It could be 75, and then the next minute it's 55, because you're up in the mountains. So you're going to have a chance. They're going to tell you a little about the glacier. You're going to be able to walk around on this glacier. There'll be a guide on these coaches that go up here with you. People bring bottles and they scoop up pure glacier water from the Canadian Rockies. That's their souvenir to take home. I always warn people, don't drink it right away because it's got minerals in it, which can, you know what, make your system go a little different. So don't drink it while you're there. Take it home with you. But you see people, there's the guy on the right, they bring their little thermoses and they fill up with glacier water because the water is melting during the summer a little bit. So there'll be little streams there. And you can only do this with a guide because there's places on the glacier that aren't safe. So it's a guided tour. Look at all the snow. This was in the middle of summer, right? This was in the middle of summer with all the snow and the ice. If you don't believe in global warming, go check out the glaciers. All right, it's receded. I think in the last 30 years about a mile, all right? So it is receding. They have different markers where the glacier is receding. So it's called the Columbia Ice Field. It's the big field. And this is the Athabasca Glacier. It's like they've got, I think, 5 fingers. And this is one of the little glaciers that runs between the mountains. So that's the one that we're going up onto. Wait, I showed you that guy. He's still asleep. All right, so if you're following along, I got to remember what day I'm on. We're now on day 6 if you're following along. Lake Louise, everybody heard of Lake Louise? What's that Lake Louise? Chateau Lake Louise, right? You've heard a very famous hotel. We don't stay here. It's about $500 to $600 a night on low season. It's running $1,000 a night to stay at the Chateau Lake Louise, but we are going to visit it. So this is actually Lake Louise. This is the famous hotel. This was built, again, by the Canadian Pacific Railroad to entice people to get off the Via Rail that would go from Montreal to Vancouver. Zach said he's going to ride that one day, so you can get off here, Zach, and stay at the Chateau. I did get to stay here once a number of years ago when it was a little cheaper. But the ice on this lake, I was here in the second week of June, and there was a foot of ice on the lake in the middle of June. 3 days later, we came back. No ice. It melted all in about 2 days. The sun came out, weather warmed up, ice was gone. So you can see a little remnants of ice here as it's starting to melt in early June. This is what the lake looks like in the middle of summer, that we should see that as we drive down. That we are going to go into the hotel. You're going to go walk around. They have a nice tea room there. There's also little hiking trails. I've actually taken out a little canoe out onto the lake as well. But it's well worth the visit. This is going into the interior. It's a very elaborate, this is a 5-star luxury hotel. So you'll have time to wander around the property. We're here for about an hour and a half to kind of enjoy the scenery. So there's a glacier in the background. It's called the Victoria Glacier. Queen Victoria visited this place and said it was the most beautiful place she'd visited in her lifetime. And she had a daughter named Louise, was her favorite daughter. She named the lake after her daughter. So it's Lake Louise, named after Queen Victoria's daughter. And the glacier's Victoria. There's always lots of interesting stories when you travel. This is said to be the most photographed spot in all of Canada. It's called Valley of the 10 Peaks. You can't see 10 in there. I've tried many times, but trust me, there's 10 peaks here. Moraine Lake, again, another beautiful turquoise blue alpine lake. We stop here again for some picture taking. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there's probably about 8 right in there. Again, beautiful lake. Again, one of the most picturesque places you'll see anywhere in the world. Hoodoos, this is in the middle there. These are these sandstone creatures, sort of. They've been created by wind and time, and they have different names and things. Native Americans have names, and they're called hoodoos, but each one has a different name. This is the Bow River that runs along through Banff. If you're afraid of heights, I'm afraid of heights, I look up. All right, you're going to get on board a gondola. and you're going to go up to the top of Sulphur Mountain. All right, the view up here is out of this world. All right, you're going to feel like you're on top of the world. You can look up and you're not going to be scared, but you're going to go up to the top of Sulphur Mountain. It's about a 6 or 7 minute ride. This is looking down. That's the Bow River. They call this the Bow Valley. Looking down, this is as we are going up. And you're going to go up to the top of Sulphur Mountain. I think I may have it on here. It's 8,000 feet up elevation. And that's the town of Banff below. That's your whole town. That's where you're staying. It's not a big city. This is a very, very popular ski resort during the winter. So they have business in the summer and they have business all winter with all the skiers coming in. So when you get up there, we're going to be up here for about an hour. They have walking paths, so you can walk along different parts of the mountain. That building there, they have obviously souvenir shops. They have a restaurant and things like there. And there's different places you can walk along here and get some beautiful pictures, some different vantage points on your own. Look at that, though. You're on top of the world. That's one of the little walkways where you can go out to a little viewing area. It's very pristine, very unspoiled area. This is on our trip going back down. And then we have a farewell dinner. The trip is wrapping up. So you've done a lot. We've done I don't read notes, so I run through this usually about 30, 40 minutes, which I'm about on schedule. We'll have a farewell dinner. From here to Calgary, it's about an hour and a half ride back to the airport, so not a long ride. And then we'll board our flight back home. We say goodbye to Banff. Could be Air Canada. Hopefully you have wonderful memories. Zach hasn't lost you yet. Zach, you can't lose anybody on the first trip, just so you know. Zach's job is to make sure everybody has fun. Everything's included. There's no optionals on this trip. It's an all-inclusive trip. As I mentioned, we've got breakfast every day. You've got sightseeing included pretty much every day on this trip. You do have some free time in the afternoons for shopping. I think it's a plus. We added Glacier National Park into this trip about 5 years ago, right before the pandemic. And it's helped sales. This tour is sold out. Every tour this year is sold out this summer. I think we run this trip 8 times a summer, and all 8 have sold out. You do need a passport. A reminder to go to Canada. It needs to be good for 6 months, validation. Canadian dollars is the form of currency. They don't take you, if a store takes a US dollars, they're going to give you Canadian money back. And deposit on this is $400. I'll talk a little about sign up and operational things, and then I'll answer questions. Final payments due 90 days prior to departure. You'll get an invoice emailed to you about 110 days out, and then you would send your payment into us directly into California. $100 off per person if you pay your final payment by check. You can sign up and deposit. Obviously tonight, if you want to sign up, Grace is taking reservations. We don't need your passport information. You can use your credit card to sign up for your deposit. And then final payment, if you want the discount, you can pay by check when that comes. So these are your temperatures, a little warmer down in Glacier. These are your highs, though, during the day. It will go up to 70. I was there. It was the trip I did with my kids. We went down to the pool, and it was an outdoor pool at the hotel. It was a different hotel than we're staying at, and it snowed. It snowed, July, for about a half hour, all right? Next day, it was 75 degrees, all right? So you don't know. You bring a jacket. We will have a meeting. I don't know where we're going to meet, here probably when we go on the trips. Before the trip, I'll be back. About 3 weeks before, you'll get a little document packet. I'll go through all the documents, flight schedule, all those things. Zach will be here again to talk about some of the operational things that are going on, and then we could talk a little about weather and clothing. 1 suitcase, 1 carry-on, 1 personal item. A lot of people bring backpacks now. This is a good trip for a backpack to take out on the day trips with you, as well as on the plane. We have a no-risk deposit program. This trip is not going for 11 months. So you're like, what if I sign up now and I change my mind? Up until 6 months before the trip, you can get a full refund. 180 days out is 6 months. What month is that? February, right? Beginning of February? You guys calculate it for me. February. So up to February, you get all your money back. Between 180 days and that final payment, we don't take your money. We keep it as a future travel credit. If you change your mind, the deposit of $400 could be used for one of Zach's great trips in 2027, all right, if you want to go on another trip. The reason being is that sometimes things come up, you forget about a wedding or something like that, and you're under that 180 days. We'll talk a little about insurance. So the big thing is cancellation coverage, right? You don't have to take our insurance. You can take your own insurance. There's tour company, or there's travel insurance companies online. We do ours kind of make it simple for Grace and the newspaper to kind of sign people up and be covered. We do get people that cancel. This one is $425 per person. Pretty similar to most of the big tour companies. I do look at all of them and compare. So it's two-part coverage. Remember, you're leaving the country, so your insurance coverage, Medicare is not covering you in Canada, so that part's important. That's part B. If you have an accident or you got to see a doctor or something like that, you pay for it, get the receipts, and then we make a claim with the insurance company when you get back. The big one is probably prior is if you have a covered medical reason and you can't go up to the day of departure, you get a full refund, and your traveling companion also can get a free refund if it's a medical related reason. Any reason coverage is also there. We use it as a future travel credit. 75% is offered back to you as on a future trip. And again, it's not 100% because we've already usually paid for an airline ticket, so we've lost that money. But you do not lose all your money, and you can cancel for any reason if you have the insurance. Sign-up form is pretty self-explanatory. We don't need your passport information, but I make sure you don't have to fly with us. CID is the airport code, so you're putting CID on there. So if you're flying out of Cedar Rapids, if you want to fly from somewhere else, we can get the prices for you. If you're out of town and want to fly from Florida or something, or if you have a relative wants to join us, we just need to know where you want to fly from. If you want to do your own air, you've got frequent miles, you can do that. Grace can give you the land-only price, and you meet us up in Canada. Just a few things. Yeah, you can fly. I just said all this. You can do your passport info later. Insurance needs to come with deposit, though. So if you sign up tonight, you would have to decide, do I want to take the insurance or not? Everything, as I said, is fully refundable. We have a Compass Club, so if you travel with us this year, you get $100 off on a trip in the future. And hopefully you join us on this trip and you see some beautiful scenery. It's, again, probably one of the most scenic trips. We got a huge crowd here tonight, guys, so it's a good sign that we're going to have a lot of people. Again, we can only take 44. This is a trip where we can't usually get extra space, like the Glacier Park Lodge and some of the hotels. They sell out, so this is kind of a one-time deal. So if you do sign up, again, you're no risk until February. Anyway, thank you for being here. I'm going to answer questions. They said to make sure I repeat the questions, right? Everybody enjoy the pictures? How many signed up already before this hand? Oh, quite a few. Hopefully you're still going to go? You haven't changed your mind? All right. I think people kind of know Canadian Rockies is beautiful, right? It's a beautiful place and should be on anybody's list. All right, questions maybe that I didn't cover, something. And if you don't want to raise your hand now, we're going to be here for a while. I'm going to be here for a while. You can come and talk to me about stuff. Somebody was asking me about medications earlier and things.
What are the plugins of voltage in Canada?
Canada's plug-ins, the question was voltage, like in plugs, like what kind of plugs. You don't need adapters, their plug receptacles are the same, and the current is the same, so you're not going to blow up your hair. Well, they have hair dryers in the rooms, but if you bring a curling iron or something, plug your phone right into the thing to charge your phone. That's a good question. Anything else? Kind of like the last group, Grace, I get worried. When there's no questions, I mean, I did really good, or they're not interested. But if you've got questions, I'm going to be around here. I've been on this trip, several times, so I can answer your questions. This is Grace. She handles all the reservations for the Gazette. We talk quite often, so if there's a question she can't answer that comes up, she's calling or emailing me. And she's a very organized young lady, so I've been impressed so far, all right? So if you've got things going on, please let Grace know. If questions come up, I'm more than willing to call you personally, email you personally as well. Oh, we have a question.
What can you say about what the people are like? If you're going to meet very many people, is there going to be any cultural events or anything like that?
Nothing different than what you see here. It's, the only towns we're visiting really are kind of in the middle of nowhere. The Native American place that you stop at, you're getting a little history of the Blackfeet, Native Americans that lived up there, but not a lot. This is a wilderness, wildlife, outdoor trip, to be honest.
How about Canadian wildfires? Anything in the area?
That's a good. I live in the Chicago area. We've had a lot of smoke coming in from Canada. Most of that's coming from Manitoba right now. And again, you're going on a trip in a year. Last year that came up. There was a lot of wildfires in Canada. Did not affect this trip at all in the past. I mean, who's to say it couldn't happen? But if it does, we would obviously have to adapt an itinerary or not go. But we've been running this tour for 25 years. We've not had it affect this tour. I think the wildfires, Manitoba, and then last year was Quebec. I think they had wildfires in Quebec that kind of blew here, but it hasn't affected our tour yet at all.
I have two questions. Remember, will you have the Canadian Rocky Tour like annually, like next year?
No, likely
No.
not. We'll probably pick different locations next year.
Yeah, the tour select, like we run the tours, but we're going to sit down, and we sat down in March or April and picked out these tours. We are going to add trips. We're going to probably have 6 trips next year because the interest level on these trips has been really, really good. This is our first year doing this, so
Not to say we won't go back to it even,
we may go back. I
next
mean,
year,
a
but-
lot of groups will repeat a trip every 2 or 3 years, so this might be a trip due to the popularity that we do come back to.
My second question, this might be one more for the Gazette, if you have someone that's going by themselves, do you ever team up so that we can travel together to save a little money?
Yeah. So the question was, single travelers, can we find you a partner? Because the single supplements are always expensive. Hotels are charging you double basically to stay in that room. Question came up at the very last meeting. We don't arrange that because it's too hard, but within the group, we do have a lot of groups that if you want to go and get a partner, you let Grace know, and if we find somebody, then you guys maybe have lunch together before you go on a vacation, and then decide. So years ago, we used to match people. This is when I started in the business, like 25 years ago. It usually didn't go well because people didn't meet before they went. They're like, oh, geez, my roommate's not who I thought they would be. So we would want you to meet somebody within the group before you go, and that would be up to Kelly and Grace maybe to so if anybody else is looking for partners, let them know. That's another good question. Anything else? We're good? Yes.
The only travel document for Canada is just the passport?
Yes. Yep. No, you don't need anything else right now. They did it during the pandemic. They had some kind of visa program or something. They're not doing that anymore. I should tell you too. That's a good point. When you come back from Canada, you go through customs in Calgary. So when you fly back here, you don't have to go through customs at O'Hare, which is a nightmare. So it's a big plus to go through up there. You pretty much in Canada, you flash your passport and they wave you through. But you do it in Canada, and then when you land here, you just walk like a domestic flight. You get off, which is nice. Anything else? Yes.
Money exchange, you said they give you Canadian money back.
Yeah. So I would change, not a lot of money. This is kind of a travel rule wherever you go in the world. Don't carry lots of cash, right? You don't need it. You can use your credit card for just about everything. Maybe get $100 walking around money in Canadian dollars. You can change it at a bank. You'd have to check. Some banks will change that money for you. You could change it at the airport. They'll charge you a little more at the airport. You could change it up there at an ATM machine. Find an ATM, pop in your debit card, and get 100 Canadian dollars out. The exchange rate, I think it was 75 cents for us to buy one of their dollars. So it's good for us, bad for Canadians to come here right now. So we get a little more for our money if you go out there, but you don't need lots of cash. You don't need lots of cash. Don't bring lots of cash. And we'll have a pre-trip meeting. We'll talk a little about money, credit card protection. I talk about all that stuff at the pre-trip meeting. Anything else? We're good? Grace, anything else to add?
There's one more back there.
Oh, sorry. Wait, you only get one.
What about church on Sunday and other free time?
There is free. I can't. What day are we there on Sunday? I'd have to look. We'll look that up and I'll let you know. That's a good question too.
I will tell you folks that this is our most popular trip so far. We do have the most folks already signed up for this, and there is a limit. So if you're interested, I know it takes some thought, but we're happy to help you sign up tonight if you'd like to be sure that you get a spot. So just think quickly on this one because it is filling up. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, the people that have already signed up, do you know who we are?
Yes, we have a tracker.
Right.
Pardon?
Are we doing our air, set up our air?
Yep, when you book with these trips, the airfare is taken care of.
It's all inclusive. We'll know the schedule in a couple months.
Yeah.
Once we get a few more signed up, in order to block group space, we have to have at least 15, which we just hit recently. We'll send the schedule to them and let them
Do
know.
you traveler numbers or whatever?
Oh, everything.
Yeah, so.
You don't have to do anything, basically. You got to show up.
No, I mean, you're United now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But when you get your flight confirmation, you can enter that into your app for United, and then that way you'll get the points for it.
At that meeting at 3 weeks out, you'll get a booking number. You can go on the United website if you got United numbers. You can put your number in. You can see where well, they'll have your seats on there, but you can go onto the website. Everybody will have a booking number.
So for the church question, Sunday is day 5.
Probably not a day you can get to church.
How about Saturday evening?
Yes. You'll get into Banff around 2 or 3 o'clock on that day. Yeah, we'll have to check. It's not a big town. There's 2 or 3 churches. But yeah, you're not going to miss day 5. So on Sunday you're not missing that. But that afternoon and evening, once we get up to Banff, that drive up, you're there about mid-afternoon.
Okay. Like Kelly said, this is one of our most popular trips. We have room for about 44 max, and we're sitting around 20, so this is going to be a trip that fills up really fast. So if it's something that you're super interested in and are ready to book it, we'll be here to help you fill out the paperwork and get it sent in so you have your secured spot. And like he said, you have 6 months for a full refund if you do change your mind. But thank you all for coming, and we appreciate you. We'll be hanging out to help you sign up and answer any questions you have.
All right, thank you.